Hi friends, in this session you are going to learn how to write the program to find mean, variance and standard deviation of n elements. Mean is sum of all the elements of the array divided by n. So that is, if I have taken n elements x1, x2 up to xn, sum is x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to n divided by n. Sum is x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to xn divided by n. But position of the array element starts from 0. So that's why I'll take another formula for mean, that is x0 plus x1 plus x2 up to xn minus 1. Here also there are n elements, but the position of the array element starts from 0. So therefore mean is x0 plus x1 plus x2 up to xn minus 1 divided by n. Formula to find out variance is x1 minus mean whole square plus x2 minus mean whole square up to xn minus mean whole square divided by n. So I just rewrite this formula as x0 minus mean whole square plus x1 minus mean whole square up to xn minus 1 minus mean whole square divided by n. Then the standard deviation. The formula to find standard deviation is the square root of variance value. So, in this program, first we need to calculate mean value. Then calculate variance, because to calculate variance we want mean value. So that's why before calculating variance, calculate mean, then calculate variance, then calculate standard deviation. Next, I'll explain the logic of writing this program. First, input a value for n, that is the number of terms that we want to be added. Then input n elements to the array A or array X. First, we need to find mean. To find mean value, take one variable sum, initialize it by the value 0. First, find the sum of all the elements of the array, then store sum of all the elements in the variable sum. Then divide that sum by n, which gives mean value. After calculating mean value, we need to calculate variance. Again, to calculate variance, take the same variable sum, initialize it by the value 0. Then take the first element of the array x0, then take mean what we have calculated before. You just subtract mean from that x0 and square the resultant data, add that square resultant value to sum. The next step, take the second element from the array, then subtract mean value from that second element, square the resultant data, add that resultant data to sum. You should repeat it for all the n elements of the array. Finally, your variable sum, which contains this numerator data, you divide that sum by the value n, which gives variance. Then calculate standard deviation using the variance value, that is nothing but square root of variance. Now I'll write the program. First, write preprocessor instructions. Here I have taken the header file, or I have included the header file mat.h, because I want to use square root function in this program. So that's why I have included the header file mat.h. Next, I have taken the variable n and I as int. This n, which indicates the number of elements that I want to be input to the array x. Next, have declared the array x as a floating point data, because see, mean, variance, standard deviation, usually all these values are at floating point data. So that's why I have taken the array, sum, mean, variance and standard deviation variables as floating point data. First, input a value for n, then input n elements to the array x. Here n is an integer data, but array x is a floating point data. So that's why in scanf statement I have written the format specifier percentage %f. To know how to input the elements to the array, you just refer my previous YouTube video how to input the elements to the array and how to display the elements of the array. First, initialize the variable sum by the value 0. Then find sum of all the elements of the array. To find sum of all the elements of the array, have used this for loop structure. To know how to find the sum of the elements of the array, refer my previous YouTube video program to find sum of the elements of the array and also the average of the elements of the given array. After finding the sum, using this sum, find the mean value. That is, mean is sum of all the elements of the array divided by n. So, therefore, mean value is equal to sum by n. After calculating mean value, calculate variance. Because to calculate variance, we want mean value. To calculate variance value, again, take the same variable sum, initialize it by the value 0. To calculate variance value, so take the element of the array one by one. So first take the first element and subtract the mean from that element, then square that data or square the result, add it to sum. You should repeat this for all the elements of the array. So that is, take the element from the array, that is x of I, then subtract mean from that x of I. So this is the resultant data. You just square this resultant data, add it to sum. You should repeat it for all the n elements of the array. So after finding this numerator data, that is the sum, then divide it by n, it gives the variance value. So therefore, variance is equal to sum by n. Then calculate standard deviation. Standard deviation is square root of variance. Square root of variance. Finally, print mean, variance and standard deviation. Then end of main. I'll go through the same program from the beginning. First, input a value for n, then input n elements to the array x. Next, take the variable sum, initialize it by the value 0. Then find the sum of all the elements of the array. That is, this for loop structure, it finds sum of all the elements of the array. Then divide that sum by n, which gives the mean value. Store the resultant data in the variable mean. Next, take the same variable sum, initialize it by the value 0. Then take the elements from the array one by one. So then subtract mean from that element, then square the resultant data, add it to sum. You should repeat this process for all the elements of the array. After the execution of this for loop structure, the variable sum which stores this numerator data. Then divide that sum by n, which gives the variance value stored that in the variable var. Next, find the square root of that variance, which gives the standard deviation value. Finally, print mean, variance and standard deviation variable value.